might be thinking to yourself, my hopper, what the heck are you doing? Well, this is Bluebell the Dure with the 6.7 Powerstroke. This is a 2012, so it's the second year. Let's walk over here. I gotta show you this. So I pulled this in the shop at noon, right at noon, and it's currently about 7 p.m. I was like, oh, I'll open the coolant system. Check it out. Coolant system explosion. This thing was so pressurized, I took it off and it was a explosion of coolant. It's not supposed to be that way. Maybe I'm just wrong in my assumption, but I believe that once the coolant system cools down, there's supposed to be zero pressure, unless folks, unless it's being pressurized by combustion gases. So the theory is, the working theory anyway, the EGR cooler hath ruptured. Now, being a past owner of a 6-liter Powerstroke, there can only be one assumption. Oh, it's the head gaskets. No, folks. These head gaskets don't go bad. However, there is one scary issue. The first 2 years, although rare, had issues with cracked heads. So that's a possibility. A really horrible possibility. So I'm going with ruptured EGR cooler. I need to take it off anyway. So I've gotten pretty much everything undone. I've gotten all the little bolts in here, all the bolts there, the bolts up here, coolant lines. You can see I took the grill and the headlight out for easy access. I even, without much trouble, got the infamous little bolt that's way back here. Got that out with too much pain. So the last thing I gotta do is these two, 1 and 2. Now, pretty much without fail, they break off. These two came out, these two came out, and these two came out all pretty like, but for the most part, these always break. I'm gonna do my best to not break them. I got a few tricks up my sleeve. Usually you'd use heat, but everything I've said is heating these up don't really do much. And I don't know why that is. So we're just gonna go with what I've heard, because if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? Right. Now, I like to use 1/4-inch tools when possible. And the reason for that being, 1/4-inch tools, you can't really put gorilla strength on, so you're less likely to break things immediately. All right, let's see what happens here. Let's see if we're in for a bad time. I don't got enough reach. Uh-oh. Did that break? No, we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop. Number 2. That's tighter. Okay. Did something bad happen? Well, I'm mildly optimistic because I'm not using any force. All right, we're getting tight. That's where we stop. That's where we stop, okay? We're gonna go back in. Ooh, that's not good. We haven't broke them. We've loosened them, but we haven't broke them. But they are stiff. So we're gonna get some penetrant, and we're just gonna go in and out. In and out real slow. I've got all night. Okay? So, I won't bore you with this. Well, folks, I broke one. The other one came out just fine, though. Which, it just, I was going so slow, spending like minutes upon minutes just back and forth, tiny, tiny motions. Ouch. Well, see, look. This is the one that came out. It's all galled. Look at that. Well, you probably can't see it, but yeah, a 1/4-inch drive, barely any force whatsoever, back and forth with Panther Piss and Marvel Mystery Oil, and we broke it. Okay, now, not the end of the world. It just adds a layer of complexity that I was really hoping to avoid. Right there, folks. That's the broken stud. Now I gotta come up with a plan. I don't think I can weld on here because I think the bolts are titanium. I'm gonna have to do some pondering. Either way, we're gonna get this old girl out and give us some room, and that'll at least be a good stopping point for tonight. Dude, this is not good. Oh, I think I got it. That was miserable. All right. Oh, yeah. See that? That busted thing? That's what I was up against. Attached to here. And then I spilled coolant all over my shoe. But it's out. It's out, folks. Look at that. Yeah. Now we just gotta get in there and do some work. But I got a lot more room now. You know, I think we're gonna take this apart. Not tonight, because it's time to go home, but I do want to take that apart. That's for next time. All right, I know I said we were gonna wait till next time, but I really want to open this up and just see if there's signs of a rupture inside, because I enjoy laying in bed awake and worrying about stuff. So if I find nothing, I know I'm gonna think about it all night. So let's see if we can't open her up and see what we can see. Well. That looks dry in there, guys. Sooty and dry. That's... Can you see that all right? Oh, look at that. Look how blocked off that is. I mean, we're cleaner over here, but goodness gracious. Alright folks, I need to figure out where this pressure's coming from. I don't know where it's coming from. Alright guys, check this out. So I took this piece off here. Look at how blinded that is. Folks, this truck has 80,000 miles on it. If this did this in 80, think about what that looks like at 160. I'm gonna try and get this core out of here. All right, I wibbled and wobbled. Come on. There we go. Well, I see no signs of a rupture. Suppose I can pressure test it, but it doesn't look, there's nothing obvious. Granted, see, it looks clean in here. Granted, this side is copper yellow, and this one's clean, so I don't know what that means. And this is the dirtier side. The clean side is the dirtier side. Weird. Maybe it did rupture. I don't know. I don't know. All right, folks, I'm back at it here. So, we've got us a little hole drilled down there. See my right angle drill right there? Putting in the work. All right, I've got to easy out and heat. Hopefully the combination of the two is gonna get it out. So I've got one of these little Burns-O-Matic micro torches. Give me some precise heat. MAP gas and O2. Well, it must not be deep enough, or I need a little force to knock it in there. Where's my hammer? Where's my hammer? More drilling is necessary. I don't got time for that because I've got officer meeting at the fire station tonight. So we will revisit this tomorrow and continue to munch through 5/64 and 1/8 inch drill bits. I think I've gone through 4 5/64 bits and 2 1/8 inch, including one reverse 1/8 inch bit. So titanium is no joke when it comes to drilling. That's just all there is to it, folks. I do have a plan B, however. I don't want to use plan B. I don't want to show you plan B yet to jinx myself, but we might have to revisit that. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, folks, what exactly is this elusive plan B that that I've referenced? I'm going to tell you, okay? So if I couldn't get the two crossover bolts out for that exhaust pipe off the EGR cooler, I had a plan B all lined up and ready to go. And I'm glad I didn't have to use it, but here's what it was. So I got this 1 inch NPT plug, threaded plug. Basically, I would have just taken this home, chucked it up in the milling machine, drilled a hole through it, tapped it. That way the thermocouple could go in there, and then I'd have my EGT probe. That'd be done. And then I have this 1 inch, this bad Larry, this 1 inch NPT tap. I would have basically threaded out the inside of the opening of that exhaust manifold where it goes up into that exhaust crossover pipe, and then I would have screwed this sucker into it. It would have got the job done. It would have worked, but would it have been right? No. But I guess if it works and if it's stupid and it works, is it stupid? No. Anyway, the whole idea behind this is when I go to put all this EGT stuff back on, all this emissions control stuff back on the truck before I drive it on the highway, if it was fixed like this, I couldn't put the EGR cooler back on. And I want to be able to put the EGR cooler back on and the SCR back in place once it goes back on the highway. And I'm done using it as an off-road race truck. All right, folks, here we are. I finally got that bolt squared away. That was a pain, and I didn't record any of it because I was so busy just going ham. But basically, I ended up breaking a drill bit off inside the hole, drilling out the bolt, and that was a huge ordeal, and it just took way too long. But it's taken care of. You can see You can see it down there. It's got thermocouple in it. I've got the block-off plate for the coolant passages here. I've cut and spliced this. So now we've got this running through that direction instead of teeing off to go into here. Ran this. I don't like this. This silicone loop hose I don't like, because look at that. Look at it's a kink. So I think eventually I'll need to buy some sort of formed hose that can go through here. But this will work for now. So now I'm just going back through, like plugging off this vacuum line I'm not using anymore. So I'm gonna plug that off. Okay, I gotta go way back in here and reattach sensors and some other things. And then I got plugged in ECU back in. Big old plug. Put the battery back and the air intake and air cleaner, etc., etc., etc. Anyways, that's what we got going on. As soon as this is done, I can add coolant, and then I'll pull it around, put it on the lift, and hit the diesel particulate filter. There's a big piece of dust on the lens. So that's where we're at. The saga continues. Now, we're removing this giant turd here. This is the SCR. This is where the urea in the form of DEF, or diesel exhaust fluid, gets injected and interacts with magics and things. Anyway, it's gotta go. It's going. Goodbye. Bye-bye. So I got bolts undone. There's like 800 EGT probes in here. So we're gonna get the rubber Dingleheimers out of the way. And you might be like hanging yourself, Hopper, why are you down here and you're not up on the lift? Well, I'll tell you folks, here's the deal. It says very specifically in the instructions, which I didn't read until just this afternoon, do not start the truck. Do not, well, no, it says very specifically, do not remove anything until you first installed the tune. And guess what? Most everything's been removed and there's no tune. So we can't turn it on until I put the tune in, and the tune's being written. So I probably won't have that till next week. So I was gonna drive the truck and park it up on the lift, but that ain't happening, Jack. Now, this sucks. It's on our back, but it's not the end of the world. Woo. Boots. You might want to run. This can get dangerous, probably. This rubber bushings gotta come off. They're not bad. Put some WD-40 on them, and they usually slide right off. Ugh. It just sucks because all this stuff falls into your eyes, and then I've only got like one sort of good shoulder to work with. So, you know, I was gonna jack this up a little bit, but I haven't done that. So, we're gonna keep going, I suppose, so I don't bore you to death. I'll turn the camera off and I'll just update you with key parts. Interesting side note, the flange on the exhaust at the back end of the SCR, towards the ass end of my truck, had only one good bolt. And this one was broken out, and the stud over here was broken out. So there's only one bolt that had an exhaust leak. So it needed maintenance anyway. Okay, bye. is hard. Look at her. This. What a piece of junk. What a hunk of garbage. Tomorrow, I'll have to go up and clean the harnesses that all these things and then the urea injection point plugged into. But for now, I'm gonna go sit in the hot tub. All right, folks, here we go. New pipe is installed. Kind of see it all back down there. So much better than before. I've got a temporary piece of wire as the exhaust hanger because this is, you know, when you get cheap Chinese junk, QA/QC isn't really followed, so I had to cut both exhaust hangers off because they were welded in the wrong spot. So I need to redo the exhaust hangers, but in the meantime I got that wire holding it up. I don't want to clamp it too permanently because depending on how loud it may or may not be, I may want to remove this pipe and put a muffler in. So we'll see. I don't like drone, I don't like the loudness. Definitely not here for that. I want nice, comfortable, smooth, quiet. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, now I just gotta wait for the tune to show up, and once that shows up, we'll be good to fire her up. All right, what's up, you guys? So here's the deal. In 3 days, the family and I, we're headed to Indianapolis, Indiana for the PRI trade show. And if you don't know what PRI is, it's kind of like the SEMA show for racing. Basically just thousands of vendors as far as the eye can see inside the Colt Stadium and surrounding infrastructure. As you can see, I got some new team logo, Dumpster Fire Off-Road. Yeah, whoa. And also, we've got new challenge coins. Check it out. That's right. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, I'll have those with me at PRI. We've got matching uniforms for the family, so keep your eye out for us. If you see us, come say hi, and you might even get one of these. So, until next time, I will see you all around like a donut.